Hey everyone, it's Monday and time for another Monday Mastery live at 5. And I'm dating coach Rick Sodabeer, and I'm here to help you make better decisions about the people you date and the relationships you get into. So I hope you all had a great weekend and a good week last week. It's been crazy in my world. For those of you that are here regularly, you know that I've made the decision to give up my apartment. Hey, Sylvia, thanks for joining in. It's been super busy here too. Hey, Jill, thanks for joining in. Glad you're here. Trisha, welcome. Glad you're here. And for those of you that have followed me for a couple of months now, excuse me, you know that I'm making a huge life transition, and that's moving out of my land-based apartment to my trailer. I'm going full-time RVing, and so it's just a huge transition, and it's kind of hit me in the last few days about all the things that I have to let go. And that's what today's topic is about letting go. And I mean, I'm talking everything. You know, I've gotten rid of 90% of my clothes. All my furniture has to go. It's just, and there's going to be a few things that I'm going to save and put in storage, but for the most part, everything goes, and it's a huge transition, and figuring out what to hang on to and what to let go of. And I started thinking about how that relates to dating and relationships, and the women that I've dated that have spent time here in my apartment, and the memories that we shared, and sometimes those memories are things that hold you back. And it's never wrong to have good memories, but it can be damaging to hang on to those and let those memories prevent you from moving forward. And you may have some great memories of a past relationship, or even your marriage, or whatever relationship it was, and hanging on too tightly to that doesn't allow you to move forward. Hey, Phil, thanks for joining in. And so I think one of the things that's been beneficial for me is to purge virtually everything from my life. Things that I just went to a place it's called Red Racks. I don't know if you guys have those anywhere other than here. Hey, Sharon, thanks for joining in. But I dropped a bunch of stuff off, and one of the things on the top of my clothes pile was a shirt that I got in Hawaii 20 years ago. And it still fit. It was still an awesome shirt, but I don't have room for stuff anymore. So it's learning to figure out what to let go, and that the same thing goes for memories. We all want to hang on to the memories, but I don't know how to say this. We can't keep dredging up memories. From those of you that have been around for a while, I told you of I was sharing tidbits of a relationship I had late last year and early this year, and she had been married for I don't know, 10 or 12 or 15 years, and then she got divorced, and after 16 years, she still hadn't let go of her dreams of of that relationship working out. And that was a huge stumbling block for me and for our relationship. So you have to be careful about what you hang on to, what you keep, and what is toxic and what isn't. Now, I will have some very fond memories of the things that she and I did together, just as I assume you all will have very fond memories of a lot of the things, a lot of the relationships that you all have had. But there comes a point where you have to let things go. And I'm struggling letting that relationship go because it was in so many. Hey, Gina, thanks for joining in. Because it was so good on so many levels. But I also recognized that there were deal breakers involved there. And this is where it gets really hard. You can have a really good relationship, but there are some deal breakers. And I'm a firm believer that if you stick around with the deal breakers, you're settling for less than extraordinary. Now, could we have tried to work it out? Probably, but there were still going to be some things that didn't fit, that didn't mesh, and that's the problem with so many of us, that we try to make things work when we're so attached to somebody. And it's not just a little emotional attachment. We've got raging hormones, as I like to call them, and it's not sexual. It's the hormones are oxytocin, they're dopamine, they're serotonin. All these hormones get going, and as you develop a relationship, especially when it's a good relationship, these things really attach you to that other person. And Gina says, you have to be able to leave the past in the past if you want to move forward with your own life. That's absolutely right. And Gina, with all due respect, and depending on the relationship, I mean, there are some relationships that you can just walk away from and it's done. But there are other relationships that you just develop some deep connections, and there's a great book out that helps describe this. It's called Exaholics, and it talks about some of the crazy things we do to try to maintain a connection to someone, even to the point of driving by their house or driving by their work to see if their car is there, just to see if they might be out in the yard, and it's just and to it's a lot of it is hormone driven, because we develop such an attachment. Hey, Martha, thanks for joining in. And Martha says, some of the bad memories do not want to leave my mind. And I get that, and especially if it was a really toxic relationship, that can screw up a lot of future relationships for you. Just because hey, Deborah, thanks for joining in. Just because you have what I might call triggers. They're triggers. A new guy in your life, Martha, could say something that brings back a trigger, and or flips a switch for you that sets you off into all these negative thoughts and memories. And we have to be very careful about those types of things, because that can destroy your current relationship. And assuming it's a great relationship, those are you have to learn how to share what's going on in your mind. I've told the story, and for those of you that have been around for a couple of years, I dated a woman several years ago that she said something after I left the room, and that set off a trigger for me. And that was something that my ex-wife used to do to me all the time. And not all the time. See, that's another rabbit hole. All the time is a global statement that she didn't do it all the time, but she did it frequently enough that it seemed like all the time. Anyway, my point is that we would be having a conversation, there would be a lull, I'd walk out of the room, and she'd start talking again. Even if she knew that I wasn't in the room, thinking that I could hear from the next room, especially if there was a door closed. And, that just irritated the heck out of me. So when I was dating this woman a few years ago, she started the conversation up. She didn't know I had left the room. I was behind her. I was in the kitchen and walked out of the kitchen, and she started talking, and instantly I became angry and upset. And I had to stop myself before I walked in the room and say, wait, what's going on? And then I recognized that she had done something that my ex-wife had done, and that was a trigger for me. So I stopped the conversation and I shared what had just happened for me. I said, this is what happened. And it was kind of an epiphany. It was kind of a cool thing, even though I was a bit upset. But as we talked about it, she says, oh, I didn't know. And I realized she didn't know, so I couldn't hold it against her. But the point is, I was able to recognize that trigger and share it with her. So Martha, if there are things that are going on like that with you, that if you're on a date or somebody says something, you recognize where that trigger is coming from, and recognize that the person that you're with is not your ex. Unless they start displaying some aggressive, either verbally or physically, or physical traits, then, just try to remember that you are not, or they are not your ex. And that's sometimes so hard for us to do because we've spent so much time in a relationship, 15, 20, 30, 40 years with an ex. And it doesn't make any difference whether you're divorced or you're widowed. There are going to be triggers that somebody says something that reminds you of your ex. And hopefully a lot of those things are positive, but they can be negative too. And Martha says, yes, realize this person is not him. And that's awesome. But also share with him what's going on and why. And that's so important, Martha, because then he understands. If you get upset and get angry with him for some reason, he's going to be sitting there scratching his head, not knowing what he did. Oops, sorry about that. My poor apartment is total shambles, and I'm working on a TV tray, and just if you could see the mess behind me, it's awesome. Anyway, so there are those memories, those triggers, or triggering memories that we don't necessarily need to get rid of, but we need to be able to recognize when they're happening and be able to share that with our new partner or with whoever we're dating at the time. And what I found, especially for Martha, what I found is when I shared that, it immediately lowered the anxiety or the stress caused by what in my case, the lady friend talking while I was out of the room. And we made an effort not to do it. Doesn't mean it wasn't going to happen, because somebody's going to slip in and out of the room without the other knowing, and pretty soon we start laughing about it. Yeah, I thought you said you didn't want to talk when you were out of the room. So I mean, you can have some fun with it. Hey, Jill. Let's see. Jill says, Are you planning on traveling around the U.S.? No, actually, a little bit. Just for the time being, I'm just going north and south. This winter, I'll be wintering in Texas down near my daughter between Waco and Austin. And then next summer, I'll be back up in northern Wisconsin and northern Michigan again, like I have done for the last 3 or 4 summers. So and then I'll migrate in between. I might take some side trips here and there, especially in the spring and in the fall. But as the weather cools down, I'm going farther south. And as it warms up, I'll head farther north. But thanks. That's my plan. So thanks for asking. So back to memories. There's lots of fond memories in my apartment. There are some not so fond memories in my apartment either. But the reality is, it's all part of life. And I was sharing with somebody the other day that all the stuff really doesn't mean anything, doesn't make any difference. It's the memories that we take with us. It would be nice. My daughter is great at taking pictures. I am not. I'm not great at recording events and special times in my life. So what I'm left with are the memories, and I can share them. But that's to me, that's what's important, are the memories. What are the memories we carry through life with us? And sometimes, it's great to have a journal to be able to write those things down, write those fun things down. As I'm going through some of my drawers, I found some hellacious notes that I'm glad that season of my life is over. And it was page after page after page after page of notes. And but at the time, it was extremely helpful because it got everything out of my head, everything that I was struggling with, and I got it on paper. And what I've discovered, at least for me, is that when I'm able to put things down on paper, take pen to paper, or even put it in the computer, create a file, a journal file for yourself, and just type every night or every couple of nights and go from there. But what happens is, and I think there's some scientific basis for this, is that once you put it down, it comes out of your head, and you're not thinking about it as much, so you're able to move on and do something else. So if you're dealing with negative memories, especially Martha, and we all have negative thoughts and memories, but sometimes it's a great idea just to write those things down, maybe even write it in a letter form, and just not even send it. One practice that I've tried and I've used is to write it down, ruminate on it for a couple of weeks, and then build a fire and burn it and give it to God. Give the ashes of that problem to God. And so, it's don't get bogged down with memories. I had such a good marriage. Especially for widows. Widows and widowers can get bogged down in that, and especially if they had an awesome marriage or an extraordinary or soulmate marriage. They tend to get wrapped up in those memories, in those thoughts. I'll never have somebody as good. I'll never have that. Well, you can. You can have that, because I believe we all have more than one soulmate. And it's just a matter of which one you find next. Your next soulmate will be different from your last one. And it doesn't mean that it won't be any less of a connection or any less strong of feelings for each other. It'll just be different. You can't replace somebody. And that's, I talked about this a few weeks ago, and some of you may remember about the gentleman that was widowed less than 6 months, and he's already out looking for a replacement wife because he didn't want to be alone. And we have to remember that it takes time to heal and grieve from the loss, especially for widows and widowers, because you got two losses. You've got the loss of a spouse, number one, and then you've got the loss of a marriage. And, I hadn't thought about it until the last few weeks as I've shared some of these ideas with you all that people have asked me over the years, what's harder to go through a divorce or to be widowed, and I truly believe it's much harder to become a widow or a widower, to lose a spouse. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Any questions or thoughts or concerns? And thank you all for the comments so far. Martha, I hope some of this is helping. Speak of the devil. Martha says, all great advice. Thank you, and good luck with your move. Thank you. I'll still be here every week. It's just I don't know where. I may be up in Michigan. I've got a trip planned to Michigan later this week, so I may be up there next Monday, so you'll see me up there. And otherwise, you may see me broadcasting from a park, from a trailer, from maybe from my daughters in Texas in December, and some other times, a couple of other months of the year. I don't know. We're just gonna wing it and see what happens. And so, thank you, Sylvia. Sylvia says, so happy for you. Sounds like fun. Come down to Texas. That's where I'm headed, down to Central Texas. So anyway, I hope that helped on dealing with memories. And it's, when it comes to relationships, again, we get so many hormones wrapped up in dealing with the memories of relationships that as we develop those relationships, it's almost like an addict. You get your fix from that person, and when that person is taken out of your life, however long it takes. It takes time to break that addiction, so to speak. We get addicted to our partners, and for better or worse, as it were, and it just takes time. Going cold turkey is one of the hardest things to do, but sometimes that's what you have to do to move on from that relationship. And some of the best ways to move on are to be involved or be active socially. Don't be sitting at home moping and thinking about being alone, or what your partner, what your ex is doing, or who they're with, because those things only prolong the hurt. They keep it's like peeling. It's like peeling a scab off. Yeah, Sylvia, cold turkey is hard. But sometimes that's what you have to do. It's like getting off any other drug, or trying to get off nicotine. There's only so many things you can do, but you have to stop picking up the cigarette. You have to stop drinking. You have to stop taking the drug. And at some point you have to stop. And one of the things I always encourage people to do, especially if it was a really, really, really good relationship, or you were really in love with somebody, even though it may have been a toxic relationship, block their cell number, block them on social media, don't answer phone calls from unknown numbers, and there are some creative ways of getting around blocked numbers, but I don't know them, but I know there are ways. So it's what that does is that keeps them from trying to contact you. But almost as importantly, it keeps you from trying to contact them. One of the hardest things to do is to break up with someone and then be able to see them on Facebook or Instagram or whatever other social media you're on. When you start looking and seeing what they're doing, it just rips you open. That's like ripping the wound open all over again, and you having to start to the healing process all over again. And so that's why I always encourage cold turkey. When you make the break, make it and stick to it. It's not easy. It's never easy, but sometimes that is the best way. More times than not, that is the best way to move on. Because you cannot emotionally move on when you're still emotionally connected to your ex. And as much as we say, as much as I hear people say, yeah, I've been separated for 3 years and I just got my divorce. And I said, and I tell people this on a regular basis. You're nowhere near ready to start dating because you haven't emotionally healed. You're not emotionally ready yet. And same thing with being widowed. You're not emotionally available. It just takes time. And widowers, those of you that may be widowers on here, the first year is a fog. You spend the first year just trying to make it from day to day, and surviving that first year. And then slowly you come out of it, and then you start thinking about who you are and what you want in life, and peeling back all the layers that have been built up over the years to be able to adjust to your marriage or to the relationship. And the same thing goes through, after you're divorced. It takes time. Generally not as much time as it does for widows and widowers, but it does take time. And I beat this subject into the ground, but it's all based on memories. And we have to let go of some of those memories. Again, some of the best ways that I've found are, number one, to write these things down, and then you can put the journal away. You don't have to keep rereading it. Maybe in 10 years you come back and reread it and said, "Holy crap, was I screwed up back then?" Or "Oh, that was a wonderful memory," or "That was I missed that relationship." But again, if you journal it or write it down, at least you're getting a big chunk of it out of your head, so that it's not present. It's not continually there. Another way is go out and exercise. Go out for a walk. Go out and let your mind wander. And pretty soon you'll start to find other things to think about. You'll start to recognize that you just didn't spend the last 20 minutes thinking about your ex or thinking about the problems. There was a ritual that I had with one woman. We would make the bed together, and that is a ritual that I do every day. And it took me 2 or 3 years to finally stop thinking about her every day as I made the bed. And now tomorrow morning I'll probably think, "Oh crap," but it is what it is. So anyway, I want to let's touch on another subject here. If anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to shoot them in. I'll go back to it. But one of the other things that's let's see, hang on. Let's see. Phil just shot in a comment here. And Phil says, I'm one of those who lost my best friend, soulmate and wife of 25 years from cancer. It has been over 5 years and lots of memories of our life together. Absolutely. And, Phil, that's always going to be a part of your life. And I don't want this conversation today to insinuate in any way, shape, or form that you should give up those memories. There is a place you spent probably the better part of half your life with your late wife, and there's always going to be a part of you there, and that's so that's that's something to keep in mind. And there are a place for memories. And the problem is when we let those memories hold us hostage, so to speak. Like I said earlier, that there's never going to be anyone like my late wife. There's never, or my late husband. When we're held hostage to those memories, that's when we run into problems. When you get divorced or when you break up. You're temporarily held hostage to the memories of the person that you just left. But over time, all of these things lessen. And one of the worst things that I've found that you can do is go out and start dating right away. And because the first person you meet that shows any interest in you is going to be your rebound relationship, and we all have them. We've all had them, and it's hard. It's because we haven't healed yet. We haven't become clear on what our next relationship should look like, or what we actually want in our next relationship. Most of you can tell me more about what you don't want than what you do want. Jill, good question, Jill. She says, "Are you able to date yet?" Absolutely. And it from my last relationship, it only lasted about 9 months. So I've dated some here and there, but yes, I'm ready, and that relationship is properly, for the most part, put to rest. There are some very fond memories, but there comes a point in time where again, and I guess guys are are a little better at compartmentalizing than ladies are, because there's a whole I don't know how many of you are familiar with Mark Gungor. He's a pastor out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and he does a weekend-long marriage course. And if any of you want a great laugh, is to look up his video, "The Tale of Two Brains," and he talks about the differences between men and women, and it is absolutely hysterical, but it is absolutely true what he says. So anyway, Mark Gungor, Gunger. I think it's G-E-R. It might be G-O-R. But he's absolutely hysterical when he talks about the tale of two brains. So anyway, yeah, I'm able to date, and it's right now it's hard because I'm transitioning from one lifestyle to another, and that becomes difficult. But other than that, those are just hurdles. Those are the hurdles of my life. Living, and that's for some of you, I don't know if any of you are snowbirds. I have several people that I've coached that live in the Midwest in the summer there's a bit of a challenge there, in one of those things that might that 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 you might have to look for in a relationship is somebody that also transitions in the summer and in the winter. And you may compromise on where you go or what you do, but that's just another layer to finding your soulmate. And what I found, at least my experience, is that when you're with somebody that is extraordinary, you become much more amenable to different things, so that or different possibilities. It's what's important to you now may not be as important to you when you're with your soulmate. Excuse me. So I mean, there's a lot of different aspects, but it has to be an extraordinary. It has to be an extraordinary person. You're my life, and I'll use me as an example because I spend my summers in northern Michigan and northern Wisconsin. I know that's only a temporary situation, but for me to date somebody, that's hard for them to understand because I'm gone 5 months a year. Now, it'd be great if they could come with, but not everybody can. So, and then now I'm exploring what it's like to live in an RV for a year, and not everybody wants to do that. But it's the phase of life that I'm in, and we all have a phase of life that we're in that may or may not be conducive to strong, healthy dating. But it's a matter of figuring that out, and I firmly believe that when you find the right person, a lot of what may be going on in your life may be adjustable. It may change if you find the right person. There's nothing to say that and again, I'll use me as an example, that I couldn't give up sailing and some of the other things that I do up north. Again, that's a phase of my life that's probably, I know part of it is temporary. The sailing I kind of enjoy, or being on the water I enjoy. I don't want to give that up completely, but it doesn't necessarily need to be on Lake Superior. So and you have to think through some of those things that are going on in your life. What is negotiable and what isn't. And there are things that if you have your must-have list, there are things that should be non-negotiable. But there are other things that obviously will be negotiable. And it's just a matter of figuring out and knowing that, and being able to communicate that and share that with your partner. So the other, I was going to get off onto another subject here, and that is, I've been getting a lot of questions lately about where to look for someone to date. And I'm talking about a lot of questions, and it's virtually all the same question. And my answer is always the same. Well, what are you looking for? And, you have to understand what you want and what are the characteristics you're looking for in a relationship. Are you looking for somebody that has the same hobbies? Are you looking for somebody that, are you a golfer and you want somebody a golf partner? Or can you have somebody that's just there to drive the golf cart while you're golfing? See, that would be me. I've golfed before, and when I get invited to go golf, I get invited once. I never get invited a second time. So, for me, it would be driving the cart. Just saying. But what are the things that you like to do? Do you like to snow ski? Do you like to be on the water? Do you like to go on hikes? And so what you have to do is you have to look at the things that are on your must-have list, and where are you going to find somebody that best matches that? You know, there, and I go back to this over and over again, but there are meetup groups, there are social groups, there's charity events. There's the golf course. Take golfing lessons on a Saturday. Ladies, if you're looking for a guy, and have a mild interest in golf, go take golf lessons on a Saturday morning, because there's going to be a ton of guys out there. Go to a shooting range. There's always guys at the shooting range. Learn how to, get your concealed carry. Go. If you've got a concealed carry or you want to learn about guns, go to a shooting range and take a class. There's always guys there. Do something. You have to think outside the box. Look at social media. I have met some really wonderful people on social media just because they friended me and I follow them for a while, and lo and behold, we find we have some things in common. We strike up a conversation, and it may not necessarily turn into a soulmate relationship, but it's a great place to look. These are people that you already have a connection with. And it may not be a strong connection, but you already have an introduction. We're friends on Facebook. And you may be liking each other's stuff. Who knows? But those are just some of the places. And then there's work. And I'm not necessarily talking about dating a coworker, but if you work in a location where outside salespeople come in or customers come in, there's nothing to say that you can't strike up a conversation and get to know somebody that way. Learn how to strike up a conversation in the grocery store. Strike up a conversation in line at Starbucks if you like coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I'm never there, so I can't, I don't do that. But wherever you are, be able to strike up a conversation and if nothing else, just to pay somebody a compliment, and you can start a conversation that way. If you're shy about starting conversation, I had this back and forth with somebody via text or via messenger or something not too long ago. But you can walk up to if you see somebody that you find attractive. Say you're in the grocery store, just say, I really like the way you're dressed today. That looks really sharp. And it doesn't make any difference whether they're married or single, but just pay them a compliment. And you're not hitting on them. Don't do it in a like you're coming on to them. Just pay a compliment and learn how to start conversations that way. Hey, John, thanks for joining in. Glad to see you're here from Facebook or from YouTube. John says, I just feel that dates are not how they used to be. I remember the 80s and 90s. Talking to random people on the street was a normal thing. It's just more difficult today with all this social media. Well, John, to some extent that is very true. We've all become attached to these things, and that's why I'm such a proponent of getting back to basically what you said, learning how to start a conversation in the grocery store, standing in line. I've had a couple of awesome conversations standing in line, especially getting close to the holidays when all the lines, Walmart and everybody's backed up, the grocery store especially. You can have some great conversations with people, but you have to be willing to say hi, and look in their shopping cart. And I'm kind of harping on grocery stores because I think it's a cool way to meet people. Look in their shopping cart. Say, oh, I've never tried that. How is that? Is that a good product? And you'll get it's okay, but my kids like it, or yeah, this is really good. I've been using this product for years. If you're walking down the aisle, down the aisles of the store saying, "Hey, I'm not familiar with this store. Can you tell me where I might find this?" And so there's any number of ways to strike up a conversation. Guys, we're not notoriously good shoppers. At least I'm not. If there's a woman standing next to you in the produce aisle, say, "Hey, how do I tell if this is ripe or if this is good?" Hey, Terry, thanks for joining in. Let's see. Terry says, "I've complimented a guy on the color of his shirt. I also comment on something in their cart." There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Terry's a perfect example of this. She's already doing it. Congratulations. That's awesome. I'm proud of you. So, and what? And I know some of you are going to tell me that you're really shy and it's hard for you to start a conversation. That's why I say start with a compliment, and it just and be sincere about it. It doesn't need to be an over the top compliment. I was walking through Walmart the other day, and I just happened, I was walking through the pharmacy, and one of the pharmacists was out talking to a customer. And I just walked by, and I looked down, and I stopped, and I said, "I really like," she was wearing a beautiful pair of cowboy boots, or Western boots. And I said, "I really like your boots." And even behind her mask, you could see that she just lit up. And, why, thank you. And I walked on. I didn't interrupt the conversation. I just pointed out that I thought she had a really cool pair of boots on, and that's all that you have to do. And just start breaking the ice that way. Especially especially if you're shy about talking to people that you don't know. It's very simple. Terry says, "I like talking to people in the store." I do too. I have a lot of fun, and you start crossing with people in the aisle, and I'll usually look, if I see them 2 or 3 times, I'll just look at her and say, "We have to stop meeting like this." It just gets a laugh. And that's all that it's about. And then you become much more comfortable talking to somebody and saying, and saying, "Hey, nice weather we're having," and start with something superficial and then moving on. And how about those Chiefs this weekend? Or it was sad to hear the Cardinals didn't make it to the World Series or to the playoffs. Whatever it is, especially, gosh, ladies, a lot of you know more about football than I do. So, or more about sports than I do. So you can talk about a variety of things. And it can lead to a conversation, and it can lead to exchanging phone numbers. If you ask, and ladies, don't be afraid to ask for his phone number. Just and it's not always an accurate indicator, but look at if you want to know if somebody's single, and guys, goes for you too, look at the ring finger on the left hand. That's and if you're afraid of talking to a married guy, well, check out the hands. You're pushing, especially in the grocery store, you're most everybody's pushing a cart with 2 hands. Well, what's exposed? Wrong hand. the knuckles, or the top of the fingers. So it's easy to start picking out generally start picking out single people that way. So it's not going to kill you to pay a compliment. It's not going to kill you to smile and say hi. Probably one of the easiest things to do is to catch somebody's attention is to smile and say hi. When you smile at somebody, it doesn't mean that you're coming on. It's just it projects a pleasant personality. It projects a pleasant attitude. Who doesn't? I want to see a show of hands here. Who doesn't like somebody smiling at them? Have you ever had somebody smile at you and it made you feel worse? It made your day worse? I think not. Put a smile on your face, and if you're in a bad mood, put a smile on your face anyway, and it will. You put a smile on your face, and your brain's going to say, "Hey, wait, what's going on here? We're supposed to be happy about something. She's smiling, or he's smiling," and the brain starts to feel a lot better. So there are some really cool things that can happen just by putting a smile on your face, saying hi, or complimenting somebody. So when you start, Terry says always smile. Absolutely. So when you want to know where's the best place to look, is where are you right now? And some of you might be at home, some of you might be in traffic. As a young man, I remember riding down we were driving through Houston. My dad and his girlfriend and I were driving through Houston, and I happened to look over at the car next to me, and there was another couple and their daughter in the back seat. And I just made eye contact with her and had this and I just went like this, and she just instantly started to smile. And so it's easy to brighten somebody's day, and you can make a good connection. You might get somebody's phone number, and you never know what can happen. But you have to be able to strike up a conversation anywhere, anytime, with anyone. And and I'm sorry for those of you that are shy. These are the easiest ways that I know of to strike up a conversation. If you're with somebody and you want to meet someone that your friend knows, have them introduce you. Don't be embarrassed to have somebody introduce you to someone that you're interested in. It's a great way. So anyway, hey, SE, I don't know who you are, but thanks for joining from YouTube. I'm glad you're here. So with that, we'll kind of wrap things up. It was, this week the last week has been a kind of an interesting week for me. Lots of emotions and thoughts, and what to hang on to, what to let go of, and in my perspective, it's all stuff. The furniture, the lights, the bookcases, the file cabinets, the desks. It's all stuff. It's all replaceable at some point if I decide to land in a house or an apartment again. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy it. And I want you guys to enjoy whatever it is, whatever phase of life that you're in. If you're single and struggling, well, enjoy and I know this may sound sick, but enjoy the struggle, because what it's doing is it's building you as a person. It's building your character. It's building your resistance, or not resistance. It's building your resilience. And, the more resilient you are, the more you're going to realize that, overall, people can't hurt you. Words can be hurtful, but, you have the ability to walk away and let those things go. Unless you choose to hang on to it. And that's what we started with is letting go. There are just some things you have to let go. Social media can make you crazy. Watching all these different things, all the negativity and all the crazy comments one way or another. And if you tune into network news, stop. Just if you want to be happy, stop watching that stuff. Start focusing on you and what makes you happy. Because they're just going to bombard you with negativity. I haven't watched news in I'm guessing 3 or 4 or 5 years now. I might have caught a couple of episodes of something here or there along the way of evening news, but it's just there's too many depressing things in life that we just don't need to hang on to. Let all that stuff go. Focus on what makes you happy. Where is that going to come? And the happiness has to come from inside you. It's not things. It's not people. Find your happiness and then move on from there. Let's see. SE says just got in on the tail end of this live, but I have been binging on the blog since I found 2 days ago and sharing it with a friend. Awesome. Thank you, SE. I appreciate that. And there's a couple of you commenting within each other, so I'll just leave those as personal comments. So anyway, with that being said, let's wrap this week up. And SE, keep watching. I appreciate it. And hope to see you next week. We're always here on Monday. On Monday Mastery, live at 5 Central Daylight Time or Central Time. And I will be back next Monday. I will probably be in Michigan, but no telling. Hey, Janine, thanks for joining in. Glad you were here. So anyway, have a great and blessed week, everyone. If anyone has any questions, just feel free to shoot them to me or shoot me a subject. Somebody shot me a subject the other day of funniest dating stories, and that's probably going to be an episode coming up. So think of your funniest dating stories over the next couple of weeks, and I'll announce when that happens, and we'll rock and roll from there. So I can hardly wait to hear some of those stories. And then I'm also working on an interview. Still working on it. I've hinted at it about a month ago. But a friend of mine is in an extraordinary, with her soulmate right now, and I'm trying to get her and her husband to come on and share that soulmates do exist. For those of you that have questions or doubts, and to give you some idea of how awesome an extraordinary relationship can be. So anyway, with that, I love you guys. I'll see you next week, and have a great and blessed week. Stay safe, and I just lost my thought. Date intentionally. That's what I was going to say. Date intentionally. Have a great week, everyone. Love you guys.